Pain. It is the word most people run from, yet it is the very thing that holds the key to human greatness. Nothing that has ever achieved significance was born from comfort. Every leader, every visionary, every builder of destiny has walked through the fire of struggle before reaching the light of triumph. Pain is not your enemy. It is your teacher, your awakener, and your greatest ally in the pursuit of growth. In the furnace of hardship, character is forged. When life strips away your illusions and tests the depth of your conviction, that is when your true nature is revealed. Do not curse your pain, study it. Within it lies the lesson that will elevate you beyond your limitations. Every wound you have carried has prepared you for wisdom. Every setback has strengthened your will, and every trial has refined your soul. The world tells you to avoid discomfort, but comfort kills growth. The soil must be broken for the seed to sprout. Likewise, your spirit must be challenged for your greatness to emerge. Pain is the instrument that breaks the shell of your old self so that the new, stronger version of you can be born. Growth does not begin in ease. It begins when you decide to rise despite your suffering. Those who understand the purpose of pain no longer resist it. They harness it. They turn it into energy, into hunger, into determination. They realize that every failure is not a defeat, but a message. A whisper that says, there is more within you. When you face pain with courage, you transform it from a burden into a bridge that carries you from who you are to who you are destined to become. Pain refines the mind as much as it strengthens the spirit. It teaches you endurance, clarity, and humility. It silences arrogance and amplifies wisdom. The lessons born from struggle are the foundation upon which all success is built. Look at any man or woman who has risen above the ordinary, and you will find behind them a story of tears, loss, and perseverance. Their greatness did not appear by chance. It was carved through pain. Remember, this pain gives you a choice. You can let it break you, or you can let it build you. You can see it as punishment, or you can see it as preparation. The moment you change your perspective, your pain changes its purpose. You no longer see it as an obstacle, but as the very force pushing you toward your destiny. What once hurt you now fuels you. What once defeated you now defines your strength. So the next time life challenges you, do not ask, why me? Ask instead, what is this teaching me? For every struggle conceals a seed of equal or greater growth. Stand tall in your pain, embrace it, and let it purify your will. For growth does not begin in comfort, it begins in struggle. And when you have endured, you will not only have survived, you will have evolved. That is the power of pain. It is the silent architect of your greatness. Pain is the seed of transformation, the raw material from which strength, character, and vision are shaped. It is the silent sculptor of the human soul, chiseling away every weakness and illusion that prevents a person from realizing their true potential. Pain does not come to destroy, it comes to build, to reveal what is dormant within you. It is through discomfort that you awaken to your hidden capacities, for only in struggle do you meet the deeper parts of yourself. Comfort maintains who you are, but pain creates who you are meant to be. Every moment of suffering carries within it an unseen opportunity for renewal, for it forces the mind to think differently and the heart to expand beyond its limitations. When a seed is planted in the ground, it must first crack and break before new life can emerge. The same law applies to human growth. Pain is the breaking of the shell that confines your spirit. It tears down the walls of complacency and calls forth courage from the depths of your being. The individual who has never experienced pain has also never experienced their full power, because power is not found in pleasure, but in endurance. The greatest transformations occur not in moments of ease, but in the seasons of adversity that test and refine the human will. Pain, therefore, is not a curse. It is a divine invitation to rise above the ordinary and to discover the extraordinary within. Transformation begins the moment you stop resisting pain and start understanding its purpose. Most people flee from pain because they mistake it for punishment. They see it as an enemy rather than as a teacher. But every challenge, every loss, every disappointment carries a lesson that could not be learned in comfort. Pain speaks a language that wisdom understands. It says, "There is more to you than what you have known. There is strength yet to be awakened, clarity yet to be found, and greatness yet to be revealed." Those who listen to this voice do not remain victims of their suffering. They become students of it. They study their pain until it reveals its lesson, and that lesson becomes the foundation of their transformation. There is no progress without disruption. The caterpillar must endure the confinement of the cocoon before it can experience the freedom of flight. The same process unfolds within every human being who seeks growth. Pain confines you for a reason. It isolates you, slows you down, and removes distractions so that the transformation within can occur. While the world sees stillness, pain is working silently, shaping endurance, patience, and insight. The very experiences that appear to break you are often the ones preparing you to rebuild yourself on a higher level. What seems like the end is usually the beginning of a greater becoming. In the crucible of pain, illusions are burned away. You begin to see what truly matters. You learn to distinguish between what is real and what is temporary. Pain simplifies life. It strips away what is unnecessary, leaving only what is essential. It teaches humility by reminding you of your human limitations, but at the same time, it reveals the infinite power of the spirit that refuses to give up. It is through this balance of weakness and strength, of breaking and rebuilding, that transformation occurs. Pain humbles the ego so that the soul can rise. Transformation through pain is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process of renewal. Each challenge refines a different aspect of your being. Physical pain teaches endurance. Emotional pain cultivates empathy and resilience. Mental pain sharpens clarity and wisdom. Spiritual pain awakens faith and surrender. Every form of suffering has a purpose unique to your growth. When you understand this, you begin to view pain not as something to escape, but as something to work through, to extract meaning from, and to use as fuel for evolution. Pain also reveals truth, the truth about who you are and who you are not. In moments of ease, it is easy to pretend, to wear masks, to live on the surface, but pain strips away pretense. It exposes your fears, insecurities, and weaknesses, but it also reveals your strength, courage, and resilience. It confronts you with the raw reality of your being, demanding honesty and self-awareness. You begin to realize that transformation requires not just surviving pain, but understanding it, embracing it, and letting it reshape your inner world. Every visionary who has left a mark on humanity has walked through the corridors of pain. They understood that greatness is not gifted, it is earned through endurance. Pain becomes the fire that purifies intention, the weight that builds strength, the darkness that helps the soul recognize light. The individual who emerges from pain carries a wisdom and power that cannot be learned through comfort. They have touched the depths of human limitation and discovered that, within those depths lies boundless possibility. Pain does not merely change what you do, it changes who you are. Your perspective, your purpose, your priorities. In the process of transformation, pain acts as a mirror. It reflects the areas of your life that require attention and healing. It reveals patterns that have kept you small, habits that no longer serve you, and fears that need to be faced. Each wave of discomfort pushes you closer to authenticity, closer to the core of your true nature. Through pain, you learn the art of letting go, of releasing control, expectations, and attachments that hinder growth. This release is not a loss, it is liberation, the freeing of the soul from the chains of limitation. When pain visits, it is never without reason. It arrives with a purpose and departs with a gift, the gift of awareness, maturity, and renewed strength. Transformation through pain is not about enduring suffering endlessly, but about extracting meaning from it. It is about rising each time you are broken, wiser and stronger than before. Pain is not the end of the journey, but the doorway through which all transformation begins. It is the seed that, once planted and nurtured through understanding and endurance, blossoms into greatness. Struggle awakens purpose because it shakes the foundations of comfort and forces the human soul to question, to search, and to rise. When life moves easily, purpose sleeps. When life becomes difficult, purpose awakens. It is through struggle that the call of destiny becomes clear. Adversity has a strange way of pushing you toward the path you were meant to walk, even when you would have preferred to remain still. Struggle is not a punishment, but a direction, a force that redirects your attention from what is temporary to what is eternal. It breaks the illusion of control and opens your awareness to the deeper meaning of your existence. When everything you relied upon fails, when every plan collapses, that is when you begin to look within for something that cannot be taken away. That something is purpose. Every soul enters life with a potential mission, a calling waiting to be recognized. Yet this purpose often lies hidden beneath layers of comfort, distraction, and complacency. Struggle comes as the great revealer, the instrument that tears away everything unnecessary so that what truly matters can emerge. When you lose what you thought you needed, you are forced to confront what you actually need. Pain has a way of focusing the mind and purifying the heart. It strips away what is trivial and awakens the hunger for meaning. This hunger is the first spark of purpose. Without struggle, there would be no reason to seek it, no urgency to discover it, no pressure to act upon it. When you are confronted with difficulty, your natural instinct is to ask, "Why is this happening to me?" But struggle invites you to ask a greater question. What is this trying to teach me? That question marks the birth of purpose. The moment you stop seeing your struggle as random and begin to see it as purposeful, your life shifts from survival to significance. Struggle becomes the compass that points you toward your highest growth. Every setback whispers, "There is more in you than you are expressing." Every obstacle says, "You are meant for greater things." Purpose is not born in luxury. It is born in the pressure of hardship, where you are stripped of excuses and forced to act from your deepest truth. The most remarkable men and women of history discovered their purpose in the midst of struggle. The inventor who faced countless failures, the leader who rose from rejection, the artist who was misunderstood, all were shaped by struggle. Their trials did not crush them, they clarified them. Each disappointment revealed what truly mattered to them, what they were willing to endure for, and what they could not live without. Struggle tests the sincerity of your desires. It exposes whether your dreams are mere fantasies or genuine callings. Only when you are willing to suffer for something do you know that it carries the weight of true purpose. Pain purifies passion, separating the fleeting from the eternal. Struggle also awakens self-awareness, the foundation of all purpose. When life is easy, you rarely reflect deeply. But in hardship the noise fades, and you begin to hear your own soul. Struggle forces introspection. It demands that you look at your fears, your choices, your motives, and your direction. It asks, who are you without the things you cling to? What would you still do if everything else was taken from you? These are questions that only pain can awaken. And when the answers begin to surface, you realize that your purpose was never lost. It was simply waiting for you to slow down enough to listen. There is a sacred power in struggle because it transforms pain into vision. When you suffer, you develop empathy, and through empathy, you discover a deeper connection with humanity. The one who has struggled knows how to heal, guide, and inspire others. Purpose often reveals itself through service, through the realization that your struggle was not only for your own growth, but to help others who face similar trials. In this way, struggle not only awakens personal purpose, but collective purpose. Your story becomes a torch for others walking through darkness. You find meaning not in escaping your struggle, but in transforming it into something that uplifts others. Struggle dismantles the illusion that life should be easy. It reminds you that growth and comfort cannot coexist. Every challenge you encounter is a signal that you are being stretched toward greater capacity. The pressure you feel is proof that life is expanding you for a higher role. Each obstacle becomes a teacher, each delay a test of patience, each failure a redirection toward what aligns with your destiny. When viewed through this lens, struggle ceases to be something to avoid and becomes something to embrace. It is the soil in which purpose takes root and grows strong. When the struggle intensifies, it is often a sign that you are close to discovering something meaningful. Just as darkness deepens before dawn, struggle often peaks before breakthrough. The moments when you feel most lost are often the moments when purpose is closest to being found. The key is persistence, the refusal to let pain silence your pursuit. As you keep moving, clarity emerges. The obstacles that once felt like enemies become allies, each one shaping your understanding and strengthening your resolve. You begin to see that every hardship was preparation, every delay a refinement, every rejection a redirection toward your true calling. Struggle also gives birth to vision. In difficulty, imagination awakens because necessity demands creativity. When the old ways stop working, you are forced to think differently, to innovate, to evolve. This mental and spiritual expansion is how purpose grows. The person who avoids struggle also avoids evolution, but the one who embraces it becomes adaptable, wise, and capable of seeing beyond the immediate into the possible. The struggle becomes the forge in which vision and determination are united. In the silence after struggle, a deeper understanding dawns. You realize that every experience, even the painful ones, was not in vain. Each challenge carried a message, each loss a lesson, each tear a transformation. You see that purpose was never something to be found outside of you, but something awakened within you through the process of struggle. It is not given, it is discovered. And the discovery always comes through the fire that refines your will and awakens your heart to the reason you exist. Adversity refines the mind because it compels a person to think, to adapt, and to rise above circumstances that seek to confine them. The human intellect is never sharpened in the absence of resistance. It is through trial, difficulty, and uncertainty that the mind learns its true power. Comfort lulls thought into dormancy, but adversity awakens it. When the path is smooth, imagination sleeps. When the road becomes rough, creativity awakens. Every challenge forces the mind to stretch beyond its limits, to see from new angles, and to discover solutions that ease could never inspire. The intellect, much like metal, is strengthened by the heat that tests it. Without that fire, it remains soft and unshaped. Adversity acts as the great instructor of wisdom. Books can teach information, but experience forged in hardship teaches understanding. The lessons that pain brings are not written in ink. They are engraved upon the heart and the mind. Each setback teaches discernment, the ability to see what is real and what is illusion, what is valuable and what is trivial. When the mind is confronted by loss or failure, it begins to question its assumptions. It examines its habits, its choices, and its patterns of thought. Through this process of reflection, it becomes disciplined, strategic, and clear. A refined mind is not merely one that knows much, but one that understands deeply, and such understanding is always born in adversity. In moments of struggle, the mind learns resilience. It learns that panic accomplishes nothing, and that clarity emerges only when calm is maintained. Adversity trains the intellect to operate under pressure, to remain steady when everything seems unstable. Those who have faced trials and endured them develop a kind of mental composure that cannot be learned through comfort. Their thinking becomes solution-oriented rather than fear-driven. They no longer react impulsively, they respond wisely. This calm in crisis is one of the most powerful forms of intelligence. It is the fruit of adversity's refining work, a mind that remains clear even when surrounded by chaos. Adversity refines not only thought but also perspective. It broadens the way one sees life. Before hardship, a person's vision may be narrow, limited to their own comfort and goals. But adversity introduces them to the realities of struggle shared by all humanity. It opens the eyes to empathy and to the complexity of life. It teaches humility, the understanding that no one is immune to difficulty, and that strength lies not in arrogance, but in endurance. This expanded perception becomes the foundation of wisdom. The mind refined by adversity does not judge quickly, fear easily, or give up readily. It sees beyond immediate circumstances to the larger process at work. Adversity also teaches the discipline of patience. The human mind, by nature, seeks quick results and instant gratification, but pain delays gratification to teach endurance. When faced with setbacks, you learn that not all progress is visible, and that growth often occurs beneath the surface. This realization matures the mind. It shifts focus from short-term satisfaction to long-term vision. A patient mind is a powerful mind, one that does not break under delay, but continues to work steadily until the desired outcome is achieved. Adversity enforces this discipline by denying comfort until strength has been proven and wisdom has been earned. Through adversity, the mind learns adaptability. Obstacles demand innovation. When one door closes, you must think differently to find another way. This necessity awakens creativity, resourcefulness, and strategic thinking. Adversity is the birthplace of invention. It forces you to evolve, to discover new skills, and to see possibilities hidden in impossibility. The individual who embraces challenge becomes mentally flexible, able to adjust without losing purpose. This mental elasticity is the hallmark of refined intelligence. It means that no matter how conditions change, the mind remains capable of creating progress. Failure, though painful, is one of adversity's greatest teachers. It humbles pride and trains reasoning. Each mistake reveals what does not work, sharpening discernment for what might. The mind that has failed often is the mind that ultimately succeeds, greatly because it has gathered the data that success requires. Every fall builds mental toughness, every disappointment strengthens analysis, and every setback develops problem-solving skills. Adversity teaches that the only true failure is refusal to learn. Those who understand this principle convert every defeat into a lesson, every lesson into strategy, and every strategy into success. Their intellect becomes both flexible and fearless. Adversity also refines focus. When life becomes challenging, distractions fade. The mind begins to prioritize what is truly important. The noise of trivial pursuits is silenced by the voice of necessity. You learn to concentrate energy on the essential rather than scattering it on the unnecessary. This clarity of focus is a direct result of struggle. It streamlines thought, sharpens goals, and strengthens decision-making. The refined mind wastes neither time nor attention. It is guided by purpose rather than impulse. Adversity sharpens intuition, the inner wisdom that logic alone cannot reach. When everything familiar collapses, the mind must learn to trust deeper instincts. This intuitive awareness is refined through hardship, when you are forced to rely on inner guidance rather than external validation. You begin to sense truth beyond appearances, to feel what is right even when reason hesitates. Intuition becomes a compass forged in the fire of uncertainty, allowing the refined mind to navigate the unseen dimensions of life with confidence and calm. A mind refined by adversity is also unshakable in faith. Not blind faith, but an intelligent trust that comes from having endured and survived. When a person has walked through darkness and still found light, their mind no longer fears difficulty. They understand that every problem carries a solution, every storm an ending, and every loss a hidden blessing. This conviction produces mental strength that no external condition can destroy. Adversity trains the intellect to believe in the process of growth, even when evidence is absent. Such belief transforms thought into power. The refining process of adversity leaves behind wisdom, the ability to perceive life through understanding rather than emotion. The individual who has faced trials thinks differently. They do not waste energy complaining about pain. They ask what the pain is trying to teach. They do not fear change, they adapt to it. They do not crumble under uncertainty. They see it as an invitation to grow. Their thinking becomes elevated, disciplined, and balanced. Every hardship they endure becomes a tool that sharpens their intellect and molds their perception into one of mastery. The mind, once refined by adversity, becomes the architect of destiny, capable of turning challenges into stepping stones and trials into triumphs. Faith and perseverance are born in the fire of pain, for only in struggle does belief prove its strength and endurance reveal its power. When life moves smoothly, faith is easy to speak of but hard to measure. It is in the hours of uncertainty, loss, and disappointment that faith shows its true form. Pain tests the core of conviction. It strips away the borrowed beliefs and leaves you standing alone with the question, do I still believe when nothing is working? In that question lies the seed of transformation. True faith is not formed in comfort. It is forged in contradiction. It is when every visible sign says, give up, and yet the heart whispers, hold on, that faith begins to grow its roots deep into the unseen soil of purpose. Perseverance, too, cannot be developed in ease. It is the child of resistance, the offspring of struggle. Every time you face pain and refuse to retreat, you strengthen your capacity to endure. Each difficulty endured becomes a proof of your strength and a rehearsal for greater victories ahead. Pain is the training ground for perseverance. It hardens the will, strengthens the mind, and teaches the body the rhythm of resilience. When you keep moving through exhaustion, when you rise again after falling, when you continue to believe even while bleeding, that is perseverance taking form. It is the invisible muscle of character that only grows through tension and trial. Faith begins where certainty ends. When you can no longer see the path, but still choose to walk, you are exercising the highest form of trust. Pain removes the illusion of control and forces you to lean on something greater than logic. It calls upon the unseen power within, the inner flame that refuses to be extinguished even in the darkest storm. In those moments, faith stops being a concept and becomes a lifeline. It becomes the power that keeps you standing when every reason to quit surrounds you. It is in that furnace of doubt and fear that you discover that belief is not about what you see, but about what you decide to stand for, even when sight fails. Perseverance and faith are inseparable companions. Faith gives direction, perseverance gives motion. One believes that the mountain can be moved, and the other keeps pushing until it is. Without faith, perseverance loses purpose. Without perseverance, faith remains an idea without evidence. Pain unites them, forcing you to believe and to act, to trust and to endure simultaneously. In every great story of victory, these two forces are present. They transform pain into purpose and suffering into strength. The greater the pain, the deeper the faith. The longer the struggle, the stronger the perseverance. Each fuels the other until what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. When the human spirit meets pain, it often faces two choices: surrender or endurance. Those who surrender see pain as an ending, but those who endure see it as preparation. Endurance refines patience, and patience deepens understanding. Pain slows you down so that your inner foundation can grow stronger. Every delay builds determination, every disappointment builds discipline, and every hardship builds humility. Perseverance teaches that success is not a sudden arrival, but a slow unveiling. The individual who endures learns that progress is not always visible, yet growth is always occurring beneath the surface. Through perseverance, pain loses its power to destroy and becomes a force that shapes. Faith in the midst of pain is not denial, it is defiance, the decision to believe in purpose while standing in the fire. It is saying, "Even this will serve me," when nothing makes sense. Faith transforms pain from punishment into process. It shifts perception from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What is this creating in me?" This shift is what gives the sufferer strength to keep going. Faith whispers when the world is silent. It tells you that there is light beyond the darkness, even if you cannot yet see it. The person who maintains faith during pain develops an unbreakable spirit, one that stands tall not because life is easy, but because they have learned to trust the journey, even when the map is hidden. Every trial a person faces is an invitation to strengthen both faith and perseverance. When one door closes, faith tells you that another will open, while perseverance keeps you searching until you find it. When you are rejected, faith assures you that the rejection has purpose, and perseverance ensures that you do not stop trying. Pain, therefore, becomes a training ground for greatness. It stretches the soul, tests the mind, and builds a backbone of steel. Those who endure pain with faith do not emerge bitter, they emerge better, wiser, and more powerful. Each hardship becomes a testimony that endurance and trust are greater than fear and doubt. Faith and perseverance also work to silence the inner voices of defeat. Pain often speaks loudly. It tells you that you are alone, that things will never change, that your effort is in vain. Faith answers softly but firmly, saying, "This is not the end." Perseverance reinforces that message with action, proving through movement what faith declares through belief. Together they form an unstoppable force that outlasts every hardship. While pain may weaken the body, faith strengthens the soul, and perseverance rebuilds the will. Through this harmony, a person becomes unshakable, not because they avoid pain, but because they have mastered how to walk through it. In the furnace of pain, small faith grows into unshakable conviction. The same heat that melts weakness hardens willpower. The storms that once threatened to destroy now become the very winds that lift you higher. Perseverance makes faith practical. It turns hope into habits. Each day of persistence, each act of courage, each refusal to quit becomes proof of faith in motion. The more you persist, the more your belief becomes unbreakable, and the stronger your inner foundation grows. The pain that once frightened you becomes familiar, even valuable, because you understand its purpose. It is the refiner of faith and the maker of endurance. The mind may doubt, the body may tire, but faith and perseverance continue to carry the soul forward. They remind you that every ending is a beginning in disguise, every failure a teacher, and every delay a design. Through the fire of pain, you learn that real faith does not depend on circumstances, and real perseverance does not depend on reward. Both depend on the decision to keep believing and to keep moving, no matter the cost. This decision, repeated in the midst of hardship, becomes the foundation of greatness. Pain does not destroy faith, it defines it. It does not break perseverance, it builds it. Through every struggle, these two powers grow until the human spirit becomes unstoppable. A living proof that nothing is stronger than the soul that refuses to give up. The law of growth demands sacrifice, because nothing great is ever achieved without the surrender of something lesser. Every advancement in life, whether spiritual, mental, or material, requires the giving up of comfort, the release of fear, and the letting go of limitation. Growth is a trade. You exchange ease for elevation, security for strength, and the familiar for the unknown. The very act of becoming more requires that something within you must die. Old habits, old beliefs, old versions of yourself that no longer serve the journey ahead. Just as a tree must shed its leaves to make room for new growth, the human soul must release what is comfortable to reach what is possible. Sacrifice, then, is not a loss. It is a necessary law of transformation. Every person desires growth, but few are willing to pay its price. They wish to rise without strain, to progress without pressure, to achieve without surrender. But the universe does not permit such shortcuts. The law of growth operates through balance. For everything gained, something must be given. You cannot grow in wisdom while clinging to ignorance, nor evolve in strength while protecting weakness. Every step forward demands a decision, to give up what holds you down in order to grasp what pulls you up. The process is uncomfortable because it challenges the natural instinct to cling to what feels safe. Yet safety often disguises stagnation, and only through sacrifice can you break free from the illusions that limit your potential. Sacrifice begins in the mind, for it is there that the old and new selves wrestle. The mind resists change because it fears loss. It tells you that letting go means suffering, that giving up control means defeat. But the truth is the opposite. The pain of sacrifice is temporary, the reward of growth is eternal. When you surrender something that keeps you small, you create space for something that makes you strong. The law of growth requires that this space be cleared before new blessings can enter. You cannot fill a vessel that is already full, and you cannot receive new wisdom while holding on to old wounds. Sacrifice empties the vessel of limitation so that abundance can flow in. Every level of growth comes with a price. To reach clarity, you must sacrifice confusion. To reach discipline, you must sacrifice distraction. To reach peace, you must sacrifice chaos. Growth is not an addition, it is a purification. It removes what no longer aligns with your higher self. Many people fear sacrifice because they see only what they are losing, not what they are gaining. Yet every sacrifice is a silent investment in your future. The student who sacrifices leisure for learning, the athlete who sacrifices comfort for conditioning, the dreamer who sacrifices sleep for purpose. All are living proof that the law of growth rewards those who endure temporary pain for lasting transformation. Sacrifice also teaches humility. It reminds you that you are not in control of everything, and that progress requires cooperation with higher principles. You cannot demand growth on your terms. You must surrender to the discipline it requires. Humility allows you to release what no longer serves you, even when you cannot yet see what will replace it. It is the faith that every surrender makes space for something greater. Those who resist this process remain trapped in cycles of repetition, mistaking movement for progress. But those who embrace sacrifice advance steadily, even if slowly, because they understand that true growth is not about speed, but about surrender. The willingness to give up what no longer aligns with your destiny. Pain often accompanies sacrifice because detachment is not easy. The habits, people, and situations that once comforted you can become chains when you begin to evolve. The moment you decide to grow, the universe begins to test that decision. You will be asked to release the very things that once gave you a sense of identity. The friendships that no longer reflect your vision will fade. The opportunities that once defined you will dissolve, and the patterns that once protected you will crumble. This dissolution is not destruction, it is preparation. Just as the soil must be broken before the seed can grow, your old structures must be disrupted before new strength can form. Every discomfort in this process is proof that growth is underway. The law of growth also teaches that comfort and purpose rarely coexist. You cannot expand while remaining within the borders of ease. Comfort dulls the drive of progress. It whispers to the soul that this is enough, even when you know you are capable of more. Sacrifice, on the other hand, ignites the hunger for excellence. It demands that you trade convenience for conviction. Each time you choose discomfort in pursuit of growth, you train your spirit to value progress over pleasure. Over time, this mindset becomes a source of power. You begin to seek challenge rather than avoid it, understanding that every act of sacrifice brings you closer to mastery. Sacrifice is also the foundation of discipline. Growth requires consistency, and consistency is impossible without the willingness to give up distractions that weaken focus. Every moment spent pursuing purpose is a moment taken from idleness, but it is also a moment invested in greatness. The disciplined individual learns to say no, not because they lack desire, but because they possess direction. Sacrifice transforms desire into determination. It aligns the will with intention, ensuring that every action serves the larger goal. Without sacrifice, discipline collapses under the weight of temptation, and growth remains a distant dream. Every great achiever in history understood the necessity of this law. They sacrificed approval for authenticity, comfort for conviction, leisure for legacy. Their success was not accidental but intentional, built upon thousands of quiet decisions to let go of what was easy in pursuit of what was essential. They accepted pain as the price of progress, knowing that every act of surrender strengthened their character. Through sacrifice, they became architects of their destiny rather than victims of circumstance. The beauty of sacrifice lies in what it awakens within you. It teaches you self-control, sharpens your focus, and deepens your faith. It transforms dependence into strength and impatience into wisdom. The person who practices sacrifice does not fear loss, because they understand that loss is an illusion, that nothing real can be taken from one who grows. What you give up externally, you gain internally as insight, resilience, and purpose. In this way, sacrifice becomes sacred, for it aligns you with the rhythm of growth itself. Each surrender brings you closer to your truest self. Each letting go lifts you to a higher level of being. The law of growth demands sacrifice not to deprive you, but to prepare you, to make room for the greatness that can only emerge when you are willing to give up who you are for who you are meant to become. The struggle is not meant to destroy you, but to awaken the greatness that lies dormant within. Life never allows potential to remain idle. It demands expression through the refining fire of difficulty. Every test, every setback, every season of uncertainty carries within it the seed of transformation. Pain is not punishment, it is preparation. It stretches the limits of your endurance, expands the capacity of your faith, and trains your spirit to rise above weakness. The purpose of struggle is not to break you, but to reveal you, to show you the depth of your courage and the strength of your will. Without resistance, power remains untested. Without opposition, character remains unproven. Growth requires tension, for it is in the friction between comfort and challenge that destiny is shaped. To live boldly with purpose means to face life with unshakable intention. Purpose is the compass that directs every choice, every sacrifice, and every effort. It gives meaning to struggle and strength to persistence. Those who live without purpose drift through existence, reacting to circumstances rather than creating them. But the one who lives boldly moves with vision, transforming obstacles into opportunities and fear into fuel. Bold living is not recklessness, it is clarity. It is knowing who you are, why you are here, and refusing to be silenced by doubt or delay. The individual who acts with purpose walks with quiet confidence, understanding that even pain serves their progress. Every hardship becomes a lesson, every loss a redirection, every delay a refinement of destiny. Faith is the invisible force that sustains this boldness. It is the conviction that what you cannot yet see already exists in the realm of possibility. Faith is not passive belief, it is active trust. It demands that you move forward even when the path is unclear. It is the light that guides you through uncertainty and the anchor that holds you steady in the storms of life. Those who live with faith see beyond their current condition. They understand that struggle is a signal not of defeat, but of development. It is the universe preparing them for a greater stage, for a higher level of responsibility, influence, and understanding. Faith allows you to face adversity not with fear, but with expectation, knowing that every challenge conceals a hidden blessing. To live boldly with purpose and faith is to embrace the full experience of being alive. It is to stop existing cautiously and start engaging courageously. Most people tiptoe through life, trying to reach death safely. They avoid pain, avoid risk, and avoid responsibility, hoping comfort will lead to fulfillment. But true fulfillment comes only from pursuit, from daring to become all that you are capable of being. Bold living requires that you step into the unknown, trusting that the same force that gave you vision will provide you with provision. It demands that you silence the voice of fear that whispers, "What if I fail?" and replace it with, "What if I rise?" Because every act of courage plants the seed of transformation, and every step of faith unlocks new dimensions of potential. Struggle refines faith. It exposes the difference between belief and conviction. Belief is easy when life is easy, but faith is proven in the fire. When everything seems to fall apart, faith whispers that this is not the end. It is the beginning of a greater chapter. The trials you endure are not random. They are tailored to strengthen the exact areas where you are called to grow. You cannot develop patience without delay, courage without fear, or resilience without resistance. Every challenge is a mirror reflecting the parts of you that still need strengthening. And when you rise above what once defeated you, you discover that faith is not something you possess, it is something you become. Boldness is the expression of faith in action. It is the refusal to shrink in the face of uncertainty. It is the decision to act, to speak, to move, even when comfort calls you to stay still. Bold living means standing for truth even when silence is safer, pursuing vision even when the path is unclear, and trusting your purpose even when results seem distant. Every great accomplishment in history began with a moment of bold faith, a decision to step forward when logic said retreat. The bold do not wait for perfect conditions, they create them. They understand that progress is born from movement, and movement requires courage. To live boldly is to declare to the universe that you are ready to become who you were created to be, regardless of the cost. Purpose provides direction, but faith provides strength. Without purpose, effort is wasted. Without faith, effort is impossible. The combination of both produces unstoppable momentum. When you live with purpose, your actions have meaning. When you live with faith, your heart has power. Together they create a life of impact, one that transcends circumstance and transforms every obstacle into opportunity. Struggle becomes sacred because it molds you into alignment with your mission. You begin to see challenges as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. The same mountains that once intimidated you become monuments of your resilience. Every moment of pain carries potential when guided by purpose and sustained by faith. The person who lives boldly understands that the world does not reward hesitation, it rewards conviction. They rise each day with a sense of mission, knowing that their existence is not accidental. They see their life as a message, one that can inspire, heal, and elevate others. Such individuals are not defined by what happens to them, but by how they respond. Their strength lies not in avoidance of struggle, but in mastery of it. They meet adversity with determination, uncertainty with prayer, and fear with action. Their faith is not merely spoken, it is demonstrated through persistence. Living boldly with purpose and faith requires self-mastery. It means governing your thoughts, emotions, and habits so they serve your higher vision. It means refusing to be ruled by temporary feelings or external opinions. The bold soul does not need validation. They draw power from within, from their alignment with a cause greater than themselves. They live intentionally, with gratitude for every experience, knowing that each moment contributes to their evolution. Even in silence, they move with confidence. Even in darkness, they walk with light. Their faith becomes contagious, inspiring others to believe in their own strength and to pursue their own callings with courage. Struggle will always accompany those who walk in purpose, because purpose challenges comfort. Faith will always be tested because faith, by its nature, must prove itself. Yet those who endure discover the divine truth hidden within every difficulty. That growth is not found in ease, but in endurance. To live boldly with purpose and faith is to declare that you were not made for mediocrity, but for magnificence. It is to stand firm in the storm and say, "This too shall pass, but I will remain stronger." Every struggle you conquer becomes a testament of your resilience, a beacon for others still fighting their battles. Through purpose, you find direction. Through faith, you find strength. Through boldness, you find yourself, unstoppable, unshakable, and fully alive.